Hello everyone, welcome to Coders Camp. We are at 24th day of December LeetCode challenge and the problem we are going to cover in this video is merge intervals. So the input given here is a 2D array and each 2D array has two values and one is start and other one is end, and we have to return the array of non-overlapping intervals that cover all the intervals in the input. So let's understand this with an example. So here is our given example. As per the problem statement, each value in the array indicates intervals in a graph. So let's put this in a graphical representation. So let's have our values starting from 0 to 20 because 20 is the maximum value in overall values given here. So first value is 1, 9. So the graph says 1, 9 is from 1 to 9 and the second value is 2 to 5. So if you observe 2 to 5 already, it is within the range of 1 to 9. So it is already covered. So let us represent that in red. And the next value is 19 to 20 and the next value is 10 to 11 and the next value is 12 to 20. So here when you put 12 to 20, the interval 19 to 20 which is already present is invalid because this lies between 12 to 20. So this also becomes red, and the rest of the values 0, 3, 0, 1 and 0, 2 all covers within the range of 9. So they all come together. So now if you actually observe the values starting from 0, but the interval 1 to 9 overlaps. So we have to combine the 0 within this range and the output is going to have 0, 9 as one interval that covers all 0, 2, 0, 1, 0, 3, 2, 5 and 1, 9. So now we have combined all the 5 intervals into one which overlaps in the graph. So the next one is 10, 11. There is no overlap. So the 10, 11 interval is going to be added directly to the output. So finally 12, 20 and 19, 20 is there. 19, 20 has been overwritten by 12, 20. So the final one we have to add is 12, 20. So yes, these are going to be our output. How are we going to approach this programmatically? So now the logic is the second interval is the end of any interval and the first interval indicates whether it lies somewhere between any existing interval. So what we have to do, we have to take the first interval, let's say 1, 9 and compare it with the rest of the intervals first indexed value, that is the 0 indexed value, to check if any of them lies within this range. So first if you check 2, 5, so you can now imagine it overlaps with 1, 9. So if it overlaps with 1, 9, there is a possibility that it can be finished within 1, 9 or it can overlap and extend beyond what goes beyond 1, 9. So that can be defined with the second value in the interval. If at all this value falls within this range. Yes, this value falls within this range. And now we have to check whether the ending interval is within the range or going beyond the range. So now 5 is actually less than value 9, which means it is within the range. So we have to ignore this interval. So goes to the next one, 19, 20. Compare 19 is within less than 9 or not. No, it is not less than 9. So next value is 10. 10 is less than 9 or not. No. 12 is less than 9 or not. No. 0. 0 is less than 9. So we are going to check the first value, whether the first value is greater than or less than 0. So 0 is less than 1, which means we have to, this overlaps in the second half because 3 is less than 9 and the first half is exceeding in the front. So now we have to replace this value to 0, the minimum value in the front and the maximum value in the back is the logic. So this goes again, now comparing 0, 9 with 0, 1, this lies within the range and this lies within the range. So this is for this particular value 1, 9 and the same operation has to happen for each and every value in the array with every other value in the array and compare the values at the first index and the last index, and the minimum value goes in the first index and the maximum value goes in the last index, and finally whatever the indexes are there, that will be added to our result. So now this is going to take longer time algorithmically if you try to iterate each array's index with every other index. So how do we make it in an optimal way? So there comes a similar concept which we have used already in a lot of videos, which is sorting. So now what it does is we are going to sort the given elements in such a way that all the first, considering the first values in the array. So let's move to the sorted list. So here is the sorted list. So this actually cut down our job of checking the front interval, because if 1 comma 9 is there and 0 comma 3 is before 1 comma 9. So this actually chopped the job of checking whether the interval overlaps towards left side. We can now check only if the interval overlaps after the previous interval. So yes, now this is done. It is easy for us to check only the second values is greater than the first value in the upcoming one. So here we don't have to really go for all possible values in the array. Instead, we can check only the neighboring values in the array because we have sorted them already. So now let's start by checking 0 comma 3. Let's first, our result list is empty. So I'm going to add 0 comma 3 first. So once I add 0 comma 3, I'm going to check whether the next value, starting value, is within the range. If you check 0 and 3, which is definitely overlapping because 0 is less than 3 in 0 comma 1. So now what we have to do, we found that it is overlapping. So now we have to find whether it extends beyond 0 comma 3 or within the range of 0 comma 3. So in that case, we have to compare the second value, that is end of the interval, with the second value of the previously existing value in the result, which is the last value in the result. So this is the first value right now, and this is also the last value right now. So now we are going to check whether 1 is less than 3. 1 is less than 3, so which is already covered. So we can ignore this and move on to the third value. So now the third value is 0 comma 2. So for 0 comma 2, we are again checking whether 0 is less than 3. Yes, 0 is less than 3. So it is also overlapping with the current one in the list. So now we are checking the second value is less than 3. Second value is also less than 3. So we got it covered as well. So now going to the next value, which is 1 comma 9. Similar to this, we are again checking whether 1 falls within 3, that is less than 3. Yes, it is within 3, so it is overlapping. So now we are going to check whether this interval is within the range or extending after the range. So now the second value is 9. Comparing 3 and 9, 3 is actually less than 9. So which means the second interval 1 comma 9 is extending. So simply we have to update whichever is the greatest between these two intervals within 0 comma 3 and 1 comma 9. So 9 is the greatest. So we are going to update this interval with 0 comma 9. So yes, we did not add anything. We just updated the existing one and we got all the 4 intervals covered right now. So now the second value is 2 comma 5 and the existing value in the list is 0 comma 9, and we are checking whether 2 is less than 9. Yes, so it is again overlapping. So again we are checking whether 5 is less than 9. 9 is greater than 5. So in this case, this interval got covered inside 0 comma 9. So we are leaving this and moving to the next one, 10 comma 1. So now we are checking 10 comma 11. So now we have to check whether they fall under or override each other. So now if you compare 10 and 9, 10 is actually greater than 9. So this doesn't overlap because we don't have to really check the first value because we sorted them already. So which means we found a new non-overlapping interval. So it's time to add them to the end of the list. Why end of the list? Because we are going to compare the upcoming values only with the value or the interval at the end of the list, because the previous ones are already sorted and only with the end we have to compare whether they overlap or not. So moving to the next value, which is 12 comma 20. So now comparing 12 comma 20, whether 12 falls within the last number in the interval. So the last number in the interval is 11. So 11 is actually less than 12. So the upcoming interval is non-overlapping with the existing one. So I'm going to update 12 comma 20 to the list. So I have added it and moving to the last one, 19 comma 20. So now we have to check whether they overlap or not. So we are going to check first whether 19 is less than 20, because 20 is the last ending interval in the list. So yes, it is less than 20. So which means they overlap. So we have to check whether the ending overlaps or not. 20 less than 20 or not, 20 is equal to 20, which means they both end in the same position, so we don't have to really update it. We will update the existing value if and only if the end value in the comparing interval is greater than the end value in the existing one. Unless we are not going to make any updates, we are simply going to add the values. So now we are done with our iterations. We don't have any more intervals left, and this is the result we are going to return. So hope I made it clear. So before getting into code, this is going to work in big O of log n time, because we are sorting the arrays based on the first value, and that is going to take log n time. And we are going to iterate it once and add it to the list, and that is going to take big O of n time. So overall, it is going to take big O of n log n time complexity. So let's go to the code now. So as we discussed, the first step is to sort the given array based on the first index value in input. So now we are going to compare each interval because they are already sorted, and based on the values, we are going to place them or update them in the result list. So before iterating them, let me declare a result linked list. So since it is integer array we have to return, it is easy for us to add and update values in a list than in an array. So first let us create a list and then finally convert it to a array and return it. Finally, we are going to return that result in form of array. So now getting into the actual part of the algorithm. So now we are checking whether the list is empty, which means that is the first interval we are iterating. Then we have to add it to our result list. If not, we are going to compare the last interval added to the result and its second index value is less than the first index value or not. If the first value is higher, then obviously the intervals did not overlap. So in that case also we have to add a interval to the result. So else if it is not, which means the first value is actually less than the last value's second value. I hope I made some sense. If that is the case, which means the indexes overlap. So what we have to do, we have to compare the last value in the result and the last value in the current iteration interval. Whichever is the maximum, we have to update that to our result. So we are taking the last value in the result. So yes, this is it. We are taking the last values second index 1, that is the ending of the interval in a result, and comparing it with the current ending interval. So whichever is the maximum value, we are going to update that to a result. So yes, once this iteration is completed, we are going to return a result in form of integer array. So yes, the code is pretty simple if you understand the logic. Let's run and try. Yes, so let's submit. Yes, we have completed today's challenge and it runs in 6 milliseconds. Thanks for watching the video. Hope you like this video. If you like this video, hit like, subscribe and let me know in comments. Thank you.